pictures. Another one was so much better.
You ready?
You can see a little bit.
Okay. All right, the mayor's called the meeting to order. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Here.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Here.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Here.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Here.
Okay, we have 5 ayes, which means a quorum is present for this regular meeting of the Garfield City Council, which is being held today, which is Tuesday, February the 26th, 2019. This regular meeting is being held in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided by mail, facsimile, and email to the official city newspapers and to other interested parties, and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin boards in City Hall. If everyone would please rise, we'd like to begin with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father and Almighty God, may all who are in authority act in accordance with your commandments. Grant them wisdom and understanding, that through their actions your people may be guided and directed in righteousness and in unity. And we ask these things in your name.
Amen.
Amen. Is there a motion for the reports of the cabinet as presented orally and in writing during the work session held earlier this evening?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Aaron Delaney. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Resolutions, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, all the resolutions numbered number 54 to and including number 63 have 5 signatures on them. So if there are no objections, I will take one roll call vote on all those resolutions. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. We have a resolution which settles a tax appeal with GF Mazzola Realty Incorporated for properties commonly known as 252 Midland Avenue in Garfield for the years 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. The resolution is signed by council members Aaron Delaney, Joseph Delaney, Aloya, and Rigoloso. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney. Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. We have a resolution directing the city engineer and water system operator to install radio reading meter capabilities on all 6 interconnections with the Passaic Valley Water Commission system. Reads, be it resolved, the city engineer and the water system operator shall coordinate the installation of radio reading meters at all Passaic Valley Water Commission interconnections at a cost not to exceed $15,000. The resolution is signed by the entire city council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
This is long overdue. I'm amazed that we didn't have them before. I vote aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
I vote aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph
Aye.
Delaney. Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes, and I believe we have another resolution forthcoming.
It's on its way. If you could.
Could, I tried to stall a little bit.
It's okay.
Proceed with bills and claims,
Yeah,
I guess? Okay. Resolved by the City Council of the City of Garfield that the following current fund reserve totaling $80,312.80 and the current fund totaling $2,681,249.27 and the water fund reserve totaling $2,620.50 and the water fund totaling $44,420.64 and the general capital fund totaling $253,544.25, and the water capital fund totaling $1,800.00 per attached computer list be ordered paid, and the proper officers are hereby authorized to issue checks for same, provided that there are funds in the respective appropriations. Be it further resolved that the action of the mayor, city clerk, and city treasurer in issuing checks and payment on ratification list which includes 20 items prior to the meeting, be ratified. Bills and Claims Resolution is offered by the entire City Council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Proceed with ordinances?
Yeah, please.
Okay, the following entitled ordinance was introduced at a meeting held on February 12th, 2019. It was duly published. Copies were posted on the bulletin boards in City Hall. Copies were made available to the general public, and having complied with the law, this ordinance was not read in full, and the City Council can now proceed with the public hearing and final passage. City of Garfield, Bergen County, New Jersey, calendar year 2019, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14. Need a public hearing?
Tom, please explain.
Okay, so just for an explanation for the general public, what the cap bank is, the city of Garfield is allowed to increase their budget at 2%, plus there are certain costs that you can pass on. I'm happy to report that the municipal budget that has been introduced comes in at 1.96%. So we come in well below the 2% and well below the cap exceptions. What that means is you can take the money that you could otherwise have raised the taxes, place it into a bank, and if the city had any kind of emergency or disaster, we would be able to increase the tax to cover that amount. So it's called a cap bank. So there's no tax increase, it's just money that's saved that we put into a bank that if we ever have a crisis or a disaster, we would be able to use it. But again, the municipal budget itself, total tax increase, 1.96%. Thank you, Mayor.
Need a public hearing.
Yeah, on this ordinance and this ordinance only, would anybody like to come up and speak? I see no hands. Joe?
Okay, on second reading, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The ordinance is adopted. We have on introduction an ordinance to amend Chapter 41 of the City Code of the City of Garfield
Thank you.
entitled Parking Authority, specifically Chapter 41-5 entitled Parking Enforcement Officer. This ordinance is introduced by council members Joseph Delaney, Aloya, Arundellini, and Rigoloso. On the roll call on first reading, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The ordinance passes on introduction. Also on introduction, an ordinance to fix the salary, wages, and compensation of the parking enforcement officer for the city of Garfield. The ordinance is signed by council members Calendrillo, Aloya, Arundellini, and Joseph Delaney. On the roll call on first reading, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Also on first reading, salary ordinance for years 2018-2022, governing employees subject to the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Garfield and Teamsters Local Union Number 469. This ordinance is introduced by the entire City Council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, with 5 ayes, ordinance passes on first reading. Also on introduction, an ordinance to amend Chapter 329 of the City Code of the City of Garfield entitled Vehicle Sales Businesses, specifically Chapter 329-12 entitled Parking Regulations. This ordinance is introduced by council members Joseph Delaney, Rigoloso, and Arundellini. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
No.
Councilmember Calendrillo.
Abstain.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney. Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 3 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 abstention. The ordinance passes on first reading. We also have an ordinance on introduction, an ordinance of the City of Garfield creating a new Chapter 214 of the Garfield City Code to be entitled Motor Vehicle Repair Shops. The ordinance is introduced by council members Joseph Delaney, Arundellini, and Rigoloso. On the roll call on first reading, Councilmember Aloya.
No.
Councilmember Councilmember Calandrillo.
Abstain.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph.
Aye.
Delaney. Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 3 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 abstention. The ordinance passes on first reading introduction. And we have a resolution. I think we need a motion to revert back in the regular order of business to resolutions. I don't know if someone is so inclined to do that.
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Aloy,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Aaron Delaney. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloy.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph
Aye.
Delaney. Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. We have a resolution authorizing the city clerk to advertise for a public hearing in connection with the filing of a Green Acres Park Development Funding application and to further direct the city engineer to prepare conceptual designs to develop Columbus Field. It reads, be it resolved, the city clerk is hereby directed and authorized to advertise for a mandatory public hearing in connection with the filing of park development funding applications for a special needs playground at 20th Century Field and River Drive Park Improvements Phase 2 through the New Jersey Green Acres Program. Be it further resolved, the city engineer is hereby directed to prepare multiple concept plans for review at the March 26, 2019 work session of the mayor and council for developing Columbus Field Park. This resolution is signed by the entire city council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Yes, I would have hoped that, and I mentioned this as far back as September, that we would have been prepared for this Green Acres application. And back then, Mayor, you mentioned that it's on the back burner. And this comes off of a time when there was a heated battle and it was even challenged with a lawsuit about selling part of Columbus Field and developing it. This is something that myself, Mr. Aloya, Mr. Malicki were very adamant and in fact enough to institute the lawsuit. So I would have hoped that when the city withdrew their plans and the planning board withdrew their study, that we would have at least looked at this back then, so that now, when we apply for whatever we can, whether we apply for $1 million, which we would have to match it, that we could do something significant at Columbus Park. We did a quick overlay of the park, and we kind of had something. Actually, Mr. Malicki had something that was designed with some basketball courts and some other items in there with a baseball field, a track, a soccer field. However, because this was put on the back burner and never addressed, we now are scrambling last minute to come up with something to do with the money. While I am going to support this, and the reason why I'm going to support this is the last part of that says that we will have a design to review, multiple designs, and with no exclusions. The mayor asked that we exclude the park, the baseball field and the soccer field. However, I would like to keep those in there, at least when we review multiple visions of the field. And let's not start by excluding anything. And let's come to a decision. So because that's in the language of the resolution, I am going to support this. I think there's a special needs park, which is very good, something that the city doesn't have. And I've always taken a position that when the city doesn't have something, we should definitely bring it into our town or our city. So I will vote yes on that resolution.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Yes, thank you, Drew. I just want to give credit where credit's due, and most people don't know this, if they don't come to our council meetings, but Garfield is a model for Green Acres funding, thanks to Tom Dutch. I always have full faith in the applications that he puts out. I know multiple towns that reach out to us with assistance and guidance on their applications. So as always, I am looking forward to this specific one. Many of you know that I have been adamant on a special needs playground. It's something that we don't have here in the city of Garfield, and many surrounding communities don't have. I've put this on record before, so I'm very excited about that and glad that we're moving forward. So I vote aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Yes, quickly, with regards to, we're not scrambling, it's just that we don't have enough time to put a plan together for Columbus Field. And Columbus Field does need to be fixed up. But you know what? So does other parks. We have our high school stadium over here, which is horrendous. Horrendous. Yes, it's the Board of Education property, but you know what? There are kids. So why can't we help them out too? I mean, if nothing happens to that field, then shame on us. You know, so there's other parks besides Columbus Field. I like the high school field. We could make that into the best sports complex in the state, and that's what we wanted. That's what I was saying when we first even brought up Columbus Field. So I'd like to see that done. I'm just putting that on record now. With regards to the Green Acres application, all it is an application for money. We have no clue how much money we're going to get from the state. Hopefully, I think we're applying for over $1 million. Hopefully, we will get it. But you know what? The state might turn around and say, sorry, all you have in the bucket is $100,000. So what do you do with $100,000? You can't do a whole lot, but this is the first step in making the application, and we've been very lucky in the past. But please, do not forget about the high school field. I vote aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Frank, you're a funny guy.
you, Mayor.
Because, you know, when this was up the first time back in, I guess, August and September, and it was shot down, I did say, we'll put it on the back burner and we revisit this. You sit here for like 20 years with all this experience on the city council, but yet every meeting we had, you never brought it up. You never brought it up,
Not true.
but we finally do bring it up.
Not true.
And now you're talking about, oh, the mayor said put it on the back burner and we should have done it. We've done it, Frank. So, you know,
Not true.
I don't know if you're trying to give me, you know, a bad rap here, but, you know, with 20 years on experience on sitting on the city council, you have plenty of time to bring this up, and you sat there and did nothing. With that, moving on, I vote aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. The resolution is adopted. We need a motion to return to the regular order of business.
Yes.
So, second.
I move.
Okay. Motion by Joseph Delaney, second by Aaron Delaney. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calangelo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney. Mayor Rigoloso. Okay, we have 5 ayes, and that concludes all written items for voting at this time. Mr. Mayor, members of the city council.
Okay, we'll open up to the citizens and taxpayers. Anybody would like to come on up? Please remember, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address. We have someone from the choir.
Right by the microphone, Jack. Come sit up with us, come on.
Madison, 113 Grand Street. I wanted to talk about what Deputy Mayor Delaney was mentioning in regards to the high school field. Do you guys have any ideas on things that we could possibly do to bring that field back up? I mean, that track field has been horrendous since I was in high school, and I'm pretty sure probably before then. And my kid is getting ready to go to high school next year. I mean, these are things that's extremely important to not only my family, but the town. So is there any ideas, plans? Is it something I gotta do, we gotta do in order to get that moving forward?
Jason, we take all the questions, and at the end, each of us will answer the question.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's
That's
a
it.
big question.
Okay, you got it. Thank you,
Thanks,
Jason.
Jack.
Anyone else? Dennis, I saw your hand.
Dennis Malicki, 54 Maitland Place. Just one question, I know it'll come later from Mr. Boswell. I would just like to know what Mr. Boswell and/or the council will use as a model, or what we're going to use to guide what amenities go into that park. And I can only express my opinion that I just don't feel that it should be what Louis Aloya wants, or Mayor Rigolosi, or Aaron Delaney, or Dennis Malicki want in the park. It's what the citizens of Garfield want in Columbus Park, and what would be utilized the most by the citizenship.
Thank you, Dennis. Anyone else would like to come on up?
Dolores Capizzi, 107 Glen Avenue. First, January 2019 meeting, I requested that all debris and holes from street work done by public service and the water division be repaired and cleaned. It's still not done except on the Midland Avenue side area down by Bergen, Greater Bergen. And also, the roads need to be checked for the trestle. They're very big and the traffic is going around them and there's gonna be an accident. I'd like to know, when was the decision and emphasis for redevelopment to provide for home ownership rather than tenancy change? Transiency and population density must be addressed. I'd like to know, when will homeowners receive written notification and instruction on how to apply for funds under redevelopment in order to actively participate in Garfield's revitalization? I'd like to know what's going on at the State Valley. It's a calcium lime mineral deposit of something. It is destroying cooking utensils, appliances, and faucets. The deposits cannot be fully removed, and I'd like to know if there are any residual health effects. And I watched the video of the last meeting, and Mayor, this is for you. I'd like to know what people are giving you a hard time over planting a garden with revitalization, because maybe they should be invited to a work session and or a city council meeting so that they can voice their concerns, and maybe they could understand that even though people might disagree on certain things, that the general vision is for everybody here to have a better life. So maybe they could be invited.
Anyone else?
My name is Joan Banas, 20 Hepworth Place, Garfield. A few months ago, I questioned why the planning board and zoning board does not have any minutes posted for the entire year of 2018. The planning board has 2 months posted, January and February, minutes posted for the entire year of 2018. They are still not posted, and I had requested this a few months back. So my question is directed at Mr. Pavlika. Why haven't the minutes been posted? Mrs. Semino's secretary told me directly, Mrs. Semino of the planning board, her secretary told me directly that she sends the minutes to the city clerk's office. I opened all the minutes for both zoning board and planning board. And on an email, Mr. Dutch sent an email which was attached to my Oprah request asking Mr. Conti of the zoning board to forward the minutes to the city council, to the city clerk's office, and he said he had. That's all the information I've found out. So since all of these minutes have been sent by both planning board and zoning board, why haven't these minutes been posted? And so the question also is, how is anyone able to say that there is transparency? Transcripts are not available to the public because of cost, and minutes have not been posted. Not all communities use court stenographers. So I'd like to ask how can we improve on transparency in Garfield? My other question is for Mr. Dutch. Some of the people in my neighborhood have asked why the city council meetings are no longer on cable. They're Cablevision, and they say they haven't been, and I have Cablevision, that Cablevision has not had any meetings since September. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other hands, please? I see no hands. We're going to open it up. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mike Dinistrian, 104 Palisade. This is directed to the mayor, and your letter from the mayor back in January. You state that in the 7th paragraph that we'll try to minimize negativity of accused residents that have spread regarding fear of change. We're not really, against change. We want to see change in the right direction. Sake Street is a commercialized area. It has a problem with trestle has a bottleneck, traffic is horrendous. We don't want to see our quality of life go down even further. Walmart was a plus, we put a lot of people to work. And that's what this area needs. Marcal lost 500 workers, and those people need jobs. We don't need more residential housing on Passaic Street. Garfield needs people that can have jobs and whatnot. We're overpopulated already, 32,000 people. Another state thing, we'll get together. Mayor, you were invited out to the church to speak with us. You haven't responded. So that's another issue I'd like to talk about with you. And another thing, you said you're gonna have a cup of coffee with the mayor. I haven't seen anything positive in that direction. When you're gonna come about with this. But people need jobs. That's one thing people need in this area, jobs. And Markel put a lot of people down. They gotta pay for their mortgages and whatnot. So I feel that's to go in the right direction. That's about it.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear from you. Thank you.
You will. Anyone else?
Reginald Bugs, 315 MacArthur Avenue. So I'm not going to take up too much time on the council, but I do have a request as a concerned citizen. The request that I'd like to make official with the city is we would like to see a black police officer or officers on the Garfield Police Department. We think that we're way overdue in the city of Garfield. We also realize that the black population in Garfield has really risen and probably in greater numbers than this city has ever experienced. And we just feel as though that would be the appropriate thing to do. We think it would be more of a bridge builder between police and community. We also think that it would bring some trust to the city and its residents. And we really just think that it's really the most democratic and right thing to do in the city of Garfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie. Anyone else would like to come on up? I see no hands. I'll open it up to council comments. Councilman Aloya.
Thank you, Mayor. Reg, to address your situation, first, I think affirmative action is sometimes a very, very good thing. We have to realize that when you're serving a community, you have to serve them with females when they have a marital dispute, not just a male officer. When you're serving someone that speaks another language, we make a concerted effort to bring translators to the court because it's actually right and moral and legally the only way to deal with people. And I think your point is well taken. At times, civil service works to our disadvantage, but I think we have to make a more effective way of satisfying the needs which you brought up. With regard to this is one that it bothers me when we talk about it over and over again. With regard to the high school field, I have your answer, sir. Go to a school board meeting. End of discussion. It's the school board's responsibility. We gave them $1 million grant that they handed back to us because they didn't want to put up of their money to fix the field. It's not our job to fix that field. We have a responsibility on this side. They have a responsibility on their side. We don't ask them to fix our roof when it leaks. Don't ask me to fix their roof when it leaks. It's too confusing. That's why there's a school board. Shame on the school board for letting the field get in such a deplorable system. Go to the school board meeting and tell them that I said so. Because that's the way it is. We got a $10 million police station going up because we got to protect our citizens. We got a new fire truck that we're going to buy for another $1 million. We've got road repair. Every year we spend millions of dollars, and we're criticized for the roads still not being perfect, and your criticism is correct. But the fact of the matter is, we're chasing potholes. It's like chasing leaves in the wind. And I'm not saying that we don't deserve criticism. What I'm saying is that's where your tax dollars are being spent. We have a water service that is outstanding. I don't know, Mr. Boswell could tell you the millions of dollars that I voted and approved for with new tanks, getting rid of lead lines, doing all the, I mean, how much did the tanks cost us? About 7 or 8 million, the whole system? How much water are you producing now?
We're producing between 2.2 and 2.7 million gallons a day.
I mean, the things that we do, sometimes you don't see, like the ball field. But you do see River Drive, you do see 20th Century Field, you do see Jewel Street, you do see the other parks, the football field, the soccer field, you do see the ones that we spend in every one of these parks. Every time you open up a gate, it's $1 million. It's never, there's no such thing as a small, to redo the turf was, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars to do the turf field on the football field?
It was about $900,000.
Another $1 million, easy that we spend. And we have no problem with high schoolers, grammar school. You see them on municipal fields all the time. So it's not an issue of, we don't care about these kids. It's an issue of, there's got to be responsibility as to what we do and what they do. So those are really the points that I wanted to make with regard to the issues that were brought up tonight. With regard to Columbus Park, and you know, Dennis, it's a passionate part of Frank, mine, and your hearts. We have a date. We will put together plans, where those plans fall and how it comes out. At least we've got to get it on paper. That was the key thing tonight, which, and I appreciate everything that was done here with the council. You know, we talked about redevelopment a while back at another meeting. I don't remember exactly which meeting. Sometimes they all start getting jumbled together. But we talked about what was put on the Vernado property. What was put on that Vernado property, everything that you see was put on that piece of property on paper, not by name, but on paper, way before anyone else moved in. And you'll remember that, because you all read the articles about Home Depot may be coming, this one may be coming, none of which exist, and none of them are on that piece of property. But from the McDonald's to the Walmart to all the other stores that were there, they were put in paper as a potential for that redevelopment site, long before they even broke ground on that site. So hopefully with Columbus Park, we can do much the same. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilman Calandrillo.
Yes, first of all, Reggie, I agree. We do need black officers in the city of Garfield. And I think the city should do whatever we can, whether it be transfers, whatever is within the law and whatever we possibly can do, it needs to be done. You know, I attended Black History Month. It was honestly a great event, as usual. The last couple of events have been very good. So I agree 1,000%. Joan, on Cablevision, we now are on, and this has been something I've been passionate about and sent endless emails. We're now on Verizon, and basically we're on 24/7 on channel 46. We were on Cablevision for almost 2 years. At some point, we went out because we weren't filming it good enough. People couldn't hear what we were saying. So we went out for bid, and we gave it to the lowest responsible bidder, and that's the gentleman that films our meetings now. It's given to the feed for Verizon. I asked that the high school honor and support us as we do support them and give the feed. They own Channel 77 on Cablevision. I asked the mayor, I asked everyone. I talked about it at numerous meetings. And they said, nope, it's not gonna happen. The mayor said, it's not gonna happen. He goes, what kind of world are you in? Well, I'm in a world where we're supposed to support each other. You know, because we went out to bid, an employee of the high school put in to do this, they weren't the lowest price. And because we did price, and because that person didn't get it, that should have nothing to do with the high school. That has nothing to do with the high school. And that's why we do not have anything on Cablevision. I went to the board president, I went to trustees, I've talked about it on camera. You know what? Why aren't we being transparent? So Mr. Dutch is now working on getting our own feed at our cost, and then we'll be on both stations, like Saddlebrook is, like Clifton is, and why not? There's nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide. We should all have nothing to hide. Let's be transparent. Coach Jason, if anybody doesn't know, Coach Jason is a Garfield Junior Boilermaker coach. I'll never forget this, and this is something that we all were in unison with. We had a presentation in our work session. Board of Education members came here. Mr. Dutch gave a presentation along with our city engineer. Everyone agreed we were going to apply for funding for the high school field. We applied for maybe $6 million, but we were only given $1 million. So, and we knew that. They were here. Then they said, okay, can you make the same presentation at the school board office? So off to the school board office, and the mayor knows it better than I do, but the mayor was there, Mr. Dutch was there, and Boswell. At that point, they were given a rough time from what was reported to us. And, right, Mayor, you came back, said they were given a rough time. So for what we thought was going to be $1 million in our hands to start some phase of what we're going to do. I don't care, do the track, do the fields, whatever. We would have had $1 million, and we had to match $1 million. So we would have $2 million invested in that field. And one thing we all share is the interest for our children. But they pulled it, and I was told by one of the board members, it was pulled off the table by the board president at that time. Okay? So that's what was told to me. I can't say it's 100%, but that's the excuse that was given to me by a Board of Education member, not by one, but at least two members. So why was it pulled at the 11th hour? And we had to know at that meeting, because the next day, Mr. Dutch had to scramble, and we put that money towards the riverbank. $1 million we put towards the riverbank. And if I'm wrong, please correct me with no hard feelings. So that's the truth of as I know it. Last week I brought up a fact, and I'll start with this. I brought up the fact that we paid coaches from the middle school, and to be honest with you, anything that would help, that's not the issue. But the issue was that, we paid $2,000 of vouchers, of which myself, Mr. Aloya, had no knowledge of. It was talked about, it was said it was discussed. Mr. Delaney said it was discussed at a meeting. I asked the clerk, I said, please tell me when it was discussed at the meeting and what was said. And Mr. Pavlicka came back, he said to me that, well, the mayor at the September meeting of 2017 said thank you to the council. Well, that's not a discussion. That's not a discussion. Maybe that's a discussion of something else that transpired. I had no idea what he was speaking of. And with that, I sent resolution, I sent emails out. I sent it to our finance officer. Well, all right, I went through all the vouchers. How do we pay $2,000 of Board of Education employees? Their budget is $1.4 million. And if we're going to do that and we're going to help them, I would hope that we would discuss this as a unit, 5 members. Otherwise, I should just stay home if I'm not included and my vote doesn't count. And that's what I'm disturbed about. It was something that was then said to me, well, it was a joint program with the rec and with the middle school. Well, if that's the case for volleyball, the boys club is doing it tremendously. They have a program there that they can't even have enough sponsors there. They're knocking the doors down on that and doing it with volunteers. So what are we trying to do? So my question was, first of all, who authorized it? When did we discuss it? Why wasn't there a council resolution supportive of this? Because this is something we normally don't do. We normally don't pay Board of Education employees. And then who determined the price of what we're going to pay coaches? I never had a chance to weigh in. I don't know if Mr. Dutch did or even if Mr. Dutch signed off on it. So that was part of what I was asking for. And the discussion started when Mr. Delaney complained because I had asked for a transcript of a redevelopment on Passaic Street for the planning board study that's going on presently. And I asked for the transcript just for the comments of the planning board members and the public, because that's something you can't revisit. I have the report, but now I am going to be asked sometime in March, as per Mr. Dutch, to either accept the report or to reject it. And based on our past accomplishments, the courts defeated this city and the planning board on the eminent domain. So why would I not be given the transcript? So it was a resolution put on the floor, and it was defeated 3-2. Myself and Mr. Lawyer voted yes. It was defeated by the mayor, the deputy mayor, and Councilwoman Delaney. So with that, I also brought up, and the reason why I'm rehashing this was once you speak, you can't speak after, and then there were comments made after I spoke. He also complained about my many emails. Well, guess what? I'm a representative of the public, the people. I could send as many emails as I want. And since when does any council person have a right to question my emails? They weren't addressed to him. So why is that an issue? It was also, it was talked about, he says I talked about $300 for the city manager's furniture. No, I didn't question $300 for the city manager's furniture. I questioned $10,000 for the city manager's office furniture. He said I questioned $300 for a water line that was installed on Midland Avenue. No, I didn't question $300 for a water line on Midland Avenue. I questioned $17,000 for a water line to a person's home renovated that is not offered to everyone. All right? That's what I questioned. Where am I? Let's see where I am. Then it was said, I brought up the fact that the reason why part of the conversation was because the council didn't get a raise. Yeah, I said that, and I stand by it. And it came out of Mr. Delaney's mouth about the raises for the council. Nor do I want one, nor do I think we should get them. But obviously, he disagreed because he brought that into the conversation of why he was voting against his $300. Not to mention Atlantic City. You know what? I didn't go to Atlantic City. Mr. Lawyer didn't go, but yet the city's paid $3,800. Now, I'm not saying if it's wrong or if it's right, but if a council person is asking for a transcript that I'm entitled to vote and have a reasonable vote, an educated vote, an informative vote, you're going to deny me when we're going to Atlantic City on $3,800? Then I made a statement. I said the city was stagnant for a number of years, 8 years. And basically, no, the city itself is not stagnant. There's a lot of private redevelopment. There's a lot of private homeowners building, fixing. But what I was trying to get across is the fact that the redevelopment authority has not initiated one new redevelopment project since 2012. They tried to do one massive project, and it was shot down by a judge with the eminent domain. So there has not been one project initiated since then. That's what I was referring to. And the McDonald's was great to come to our project, but that the McDonald's did not bring in all these other stores. The economy brought in these other stores. We were in a great recession. So the economy has always been the thriving force. Mr. Lawyer said it well. These plans were put in back in the early 2000s when we were negotiating with Vornado, what should go there. And there was always a fast food establishment in the plan. Now, whether we wanted to change that and put a lot more, we had that luxury, but that was the intent. And the bottom line is this. You know what? You could try to silence me. You could vote against anything that I put up. That's politics. But I'll never shut up. I have no relatives working for the city. I'm always going to be sincere in what I do. Do we all make mistakes? You know, I'm sure people could argue I made a mistake in my 20 years. But Mayor, first of all, I will tell you this. Since you withdrew your quest to put condos and redevelop Columbus Field, I have mentioned Columbus Field numerous meetings. And guess what? There's videotape and there's recordings that'll back me up. And I even talked about in September, you said, we're going to put it on the agenda. Well, guess what, Mayor? You never put it on the agenda. So how could you say I'm funny? I know what I say. I know what I do, Mayor. And this was purposely, in my opinion, put on the back burner. Mr. Malicki came up to our meetings and asked to address this. Mr. Malicki has told me he sent emails to council members trying to address this. And as soon as we found out there was a Green Acres application available, well, that's when I started talking about it. So maybe you don't pay attention when I speak, which that's your pleasure. But I have been speaking about this, and I have asked for it. And when you said you're going to put it on the agenda in September, and then October comes, November comes, and it's still not on the agenda, I got the message. But the bottom line is we could do better. And it's not for me. It's not for any of us up here. It's all about the public. And that's who we represent. And thank you very much.
All right, Frank, all right. Councilwoman.
While we're on the topic, I do want to address some of the points made by Councilman Calangillo in regards to the $2,000 spent in vouchers, which was discussed also at the last meeting. Mr. Dutch, Mr. Rigatano does not come to every work session and present and go over every single bill and voucher to the council. This is what we have professional department heads for. As far as I'm aware, the department head approved this spending, and I have full faith in our department head. That's what we hired them for. And I personally have no problem spending $2,000 to bring something what's meant to be positive to our kids when people are in a bind. I think that we need to support each other. I think we're in a lot of the predicaments that we're in because that support was not there. So again, I have no problem with it. As I said at the last meeting, it was a program that didn't really take off. And the following year, the department head chose not to do the same thing. So sometimes that happens. And, again, I have no problem with that decision. He also mentioned that I was one of the individuals that voted no on a transcript. Yes, I did. And I did that based on past protocol. Transcripts were never given to council members at the city expense in the past. I don't think we should set that precedent now because it opens us up for having to do that down the road every single time in the future. I think it's something that we should ask for as a regular citizen. And I even made the offer for the 5 of us to chip in the $60 each, which was declined, and respectfully so. I'm fine with that. But I also, since it's brought up again, wanted to explain the reason why I voted no in that situation. And then lastly, this was brought up last year about certain council members attending Atlantic City and $3,800 being spent. I'm sure some of us saw the article that was posted in the record. It's not uncommon for municipalities to send individuals to this conference. It is a very beneficial conference. Part of that $300 was to send employees that needed to attend or, were able to attend for continuing education credits that are mandated by their titles. I know I personally took time off from my personal job at the time, didn't ask for reimbursement for mileage. It's something that I gave up my own personal time to educate myself so that I could better serve the community. And, I have no problem admitting that or standing by that. In that article, some communities were shown in a negative light, where Garfield was mentioned twice in a positive light, mentioning our city manager and mayor attending classes and getting some great ideas from those classes that they attended. So that's really all I have to say about that. Mr. Patterson, in regards to the fields, I do have to say, I agree, it's the school board's responsibility. However, there is new administration with the school board, and though past administration dropped the ball, that doesn't mean our students should be punished. It's a conversation that we can begin to have and potentially support them in. Ultimately, it is their responsibility, though, financially. But again, we could have these conversations and see how we can support each other and set that precedent in working as a team for the sake of our community. A lot of the concerns mentioned tonight, I'm going to defer to our clerk, city manager, engineer. I know our DPW superintendent isn't here this evening, but I'm sure the message will get relayed to him by some of the concerns. And then lastly, from the public comments, I agree with Councilman Aloya, affirmative action is essential. I know that with the new officers, I was happy to see that a majority of them were women. There were some Latinos as well, but great point, Reggie. I think it's something that we absolutely need to explore. I am personally very ignorant on the process, but I'm sure our city manager is not. In regards to civil service, but something that we should definitely look into. And I do want to personally apologize for missing the Black History Month event on Saturday. I have classes from 9 to 4 in Bordentown and Lakewood, so I couldn't get back here in time to attend, but I heard that it was a great event, as it was last year. And then some personal things I wanted to share. We have upcoming this Thursday, the Community Affairs Beefsteak that I know I'm looking forward to. It is also Read Across America. So I will be reading to students at school number 6 and the preschools between tomorrow and Friday. So I know that's something that we all do every year, and it's nice to visit our kids. And, I've always been an avid reader, and it's a love that I like to share with our youth here in town. I did want to mention our parking program. I know that is rolling into effect very shortly. I believe the goal is in mid-April, and it's a program that I just wanted to say I'm in full support of. It's ensuring the safety of our community and efficiency of our dispatchers and police officers. A lot of hard work, time, and effort went into it. It's bringing us up to the 21st century, which everyone knows I'm a big fan of. And I think in the long term, it will bring many benefits to everyone. So thank you to all of you. I know Lieutenant Marsh and Deputy Chief Palanque are in the audience, as well as others that put a lot of time and effort into this. So thank you for making it the great program it's going to be. And then last but not least, I just wanted to make a special note of one of our resolutions this evening, Resolution 54, regarding the Garfield High School Athletic Hall of Fame for 2019. I didn't say it at the time, but I very happily voted aye on that resolution. I have a very close friend, Frank Reyes, who's being honored, also close friend, Sue Scadillo, who does so much for our community. But it's going to be a special event for me this year because a close friend of mine passed away 2 years ago on that. His anniversary will be that weekend, and they're honoring him this year. So for those of you that are interested in attending, it will be great, and I just wanted to congratulate those 3 individuals. Thank you.
Council, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, first, Jason, I just want to mention the high school field. I see a lot of people be very involved with Columbus Field, and as am I. But let's not forget the high school field. That's all I'm saying. I understand it's the Board of Education, but you know what? Garfield kids go there. Columbus Field, I bet you today was walked on maybe by about 5 people. You got hundreds of kids on that high school field every single day. Every single day. So if you want to look at a need of urgency, yes, okay, it's the Board of Ed, but we can't help them. There are kids. There are kids. They're Garfield kids. So let's not just say it's the Board of Ed problem. Let them fix it. No, let's work hand in hand. There is a new administration there now. Maybe they're willing to work with us. That'd be a great idea. Just because it didn't happen last year doesn't mean it won't happen this year. Right? Let's think about those kids. Just because it's the Board of Education is a sad excuse not to say, let's try to do something. With the transparency, we have more transparency now than ever before. Every single meeting is being filmed. We never had this. I've been on the council for quite a few years, and this just happened. Many years it wasn't even spoken about filming meetings. Now we're filming meetings. You know, and with regards to only being on Verizon, well, you know what? We had it on Optimum, and the school kids were doing it, and we weren't paying anything. Nothing. Okay, maybe the sound wasn't that great, whatever. But you know what? You had a young Garfield High School kid filming every single meeting, and it was on Channel 77 every week. There was a few flaws, but you know what? It wasn't a bad thing. Then we had council member suggesting that we got to go out for bid, we need cameras, this and that, we got to do it better, which is fine and dandy, but you know what? You're looking at the same meeting since September now, and that's a shame. And I voted against bringing in the other, nothing against the young gentleman in the back, but I did like the Garfield High School kids taping the meeting. That's why I voted against it. I got a lot of stuff going on here. We had the quality of life meeting about 2 weeks ago with the building department, the police department, DPW, and our city manager. And, well, we discussed many things in quality of life for Garfield, one of them being speeding. But we passed 2 resolutions tonight, well, not resolutions, ordinances, only for the first reading, with regards to auto shops, about how many cars could be on a lot, what time of their operation. And I didn't get full support of the whole council, but you know what? It's a problem. It's a problem. If I live next door to an auto shop and it's 11:30 at night and they're working on their cars in a residential neighborhood, it's a problem when you have, yes, even some elected officials with property with cars parked up on the sidewalk and banged up cars that's been sitting there for years. And not to do anything, you know what happens? Nothing happens. And if nothing happens, nothing changes, nothing changes. You know, so it's just a step trying to clean up the city. Springtime's coming. I know I'm going to get people in the next meeting complaining about it, but you know what? It's something that I felt we should do. Reggie, you're definitely right, Reg. You know, I feel our police force should represent the city that it watches. You know, and that's why one of the requirements, I know, to be a Garfield police officer is to live in the city of Garfield. You know, which I think is a great thing. I love to have Garfield residents become Garfield police officers. And we have hired, I know, a lot of minorities, none of them being African-American, but yes, we need more than one. You know, I like to have our police department represent the city that it protects. So I agree with you on that, Reg. With regards to Atlantic City, I mean, we spoke about this hundreds of times. We just spoke about $1 million grant that we're applying for Green Acres. How do you think we get all these grants? You don't get them just by sitting here at a council meeting and complaining. You have to go, you got to network, you got to go to ACE. We get our money back tenfold. And I'm telling you, it's a worthwhile thing because you got all types of meetings to go on, you know, all types of seminars. It's a great thing to do. So, and Garfield, I believe, was the least amount, that spent the least amount than about anybody in the whole county. So with that, I think it's a great thing. Redevelopment in the past 8 years, you know what? Take a prime example, Wawa got developed in the past few years. We didn't have that 8 years ago. That happened in the last few years. If you look at the redevelopment on Walnut Street, that developer purchased that land 20 years ago. He wasn't allowed to build on that land or clean up the contaminated soil for over 10 years because certain people held it up. All right, and I don't have to say who held it up, but certain people held it up. Now we have income ratables over there, beautiful piece of property, and most importantly, we got all the contamination out. And quickly, I don't want to get into a debate with Councilman Calandrillo, but you know, the only thing, Frank, I never denied you the transcripts, Frank. I just said you should pay the $300 like every other Joe Smith in the city of Garfield. Why am I able to get the transcripts for free if Joe Smith has to pay for it? Why don't we just say the council should stop paying parking tickets? Frank, we're no better than the average citizen. Average citizen has to pay the money, so should we. That's all I said, Frank. And if I wanted to give the council a raise, if I thought the council needed a raise, I would have put a resolution on the floor like yourself and Councilman Calandrillo. Well, I never did, Frank. So don't be putting words in my mouth that I wanted to give the council a raise. You know, the $300, I'm sorry, but I voted no on it just because I felt we're no better than Joe Smith, a citizen. And with that, I have a good night.
Okay, thank you. Jason, you know, our town is recognized by two things, you know, our schools and our community. And, you know, we're moving forward on a lot of things. Unfortunately, you know, the Board of Ed dropped the ball last year. They really did. And, you know, with the new administration and the better relationship that we have with the school, you know, hopefully we could revisit this because our kids do deserve the best. You know, at the end of the day, we're all responsible for everybody in our community and our kids. To my friends, yeah, I think you guys are afraid of change on Passaic Street. You debate everything, you complain about everything, and unfortunately, you put a stranglehold on stuff. I'm gonna read you a text that came to me from a resident. So just bear with me 1 second here. I apologize. I had it up. It says, oh wait, there you go. It says, did you forget about us on Passaic Street? Things are getting worse. I thought you were supposed to do something. Please help us. That's from a resident on Passaic Street. That was from a resident on Passaic Street about a week ago. Then I answer her, and she says, my neighbor wants to get a gun. I got to talk her out of it. Laugh out loud, she puts. So that's from a resident. And I do have these meetings, these little coffee clutches. My number's out there. I just had a coffee with someone on last Friday after school. We met up at the Dunkin' Donuts, and we had coffee, and we discussed things. I had a group meeting with some people from Passaic Street area a little while back. You know, their little group, you know, not South Garfield, but their little group. And they are concerned about what goes on Passaic Street. These are people who live in Ward 1 that are outside of Passaic Street, but want to see improvement on Passaic Street because it affects their homes, it affects their neighborhoods. They want to walk up and down that block, okay, where it's lit, it's shopping, it's cafes, it's restaurants. But that was all stopped, and for good reason. You know, there should be no condemnation. But now we finally got some movement going on Passaic Street, and they feel like, you know, that you guys are going to slow it up again. I tell them that that's not the case, but I don't know. They hear the same thing that, you know, we hear, and, you know, they're upset. They're upset because they want to see improvement in that area. You know, they want to see more than nail salons and barbershops and liquor stores. You know, they want to be able to walk up and down that block at 8 o'clock at night and shop and do things. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, they don't. And I've met with them, and they feel like, you know, they're almost intimidated. I remember talking to you, Dolores, about this. They're intimidated by a certain group or certain individuals in there, and they feel like their voices aren't here, and that's why they never want to meet with you or your group. Because I've been offered that to them. I said, why don't you meet with them? And they said, no, they'd rather not because, you know, they're intimidated. Their words. Mr. Dennis Strand, you said you gave me an invitation to, I went to one with City Manager Dutch. We went to one of those meetings at the Holy Name Church, but I don't ever remember another invitation back there. So if you did, I didn't get it. But if you do send it to the city hall, I will get it. So I don't know if I ever got it. Let me see here. Reggie, we spoke about this after the event and everything like that. I told you we're all on board for that. And we do think we need black officers in the Garfield. And we're a diverse community. We're lacking it. And it's time. It's time for change. Like everything else, it's time for change. Joan, you talked about Verizon. It is on Verizon. We had Cablevision. We got rid of Cablevision. Councilman Calandrillo spoke about it. But the real simple aspect of it is that we had an employee that put a bid in to get the job. He lost the bid, and now we want him to come back and do it for free. You know, who does that? You know, so Verizon got it, Cablevision walked, and they were free, you know. We could even had Cablevision here and just had the bid for Verizon and did the both, but we were unhappy with the way Cablevision was putting it on, and when they weren't in school in July and August, there was no video going on. And unfortunately, you know, because there's no school, the students weren't here. I'm all over the place as well. Tom, does the DPW police chief and the rec center director before this one, do they have their own budgets? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, I don't ever recall, well, maybe you can answer these questions too. Does the DPW and the police chief, do they have to, every time they spend a dollar, do they have to go through the council?
No.
Okay, thanks. So I don't see why the rec center, for $2,000 to help out anybody, has to put it through the whole council. He's his own man, he can make a change. He has a budget. It was within his budget. He wasn't coming around asking for any extra money. It was in his budget. So he helped out. And now, all of a sudden, we're trying to villainize this young man or try to, a conspiracy that we're spending money without anybody's permission. It's time we put these conspiracies, thoughts, or how we feel. It's ridiculous. We go inside those, into the work session and we try to get things moving forward. And everybody has their own agenda, and you can't even say something tongue-in-cheek, because when it comes back out here, they throw it back in your face. Deputy Mayor made a comment about $300, and all of a sudden, it was all tongue-in-cheek. And my God, you think he was like browbeating people or threatening people for $300 that we should get raises. It was never like that. And like he said, he would have put the resolution on the table if that was the case. And it's a shame that you can't say nothing nowadays without it coming back to haunt you. And I've lived it and I'm seeing it now, and it's, we got to start moving forward. We fight too much. We're trying to get things done and accomplished, and it seems like every time we make one step forward, there's 2 steps going backwards, and then we have to go 2 steps, and it's tiring. It is tiring that, we nitpick over going to Atlantic City, going to, a director spending $2,000 out of his own budget, and we put it out there like, that we're doing something wrong, and no one's doing anything wrong. If anything, the city manager here, he saves more money, he gets millions of dollars, and he's not, on his watch, he's not gonna risk his career, or our deputy or our city clerk here, our attorneys are going to risk their careers and their license over $2,000 over doing something illegal. It just has to stop. We got too much going on. And, we want to redevelop Columbus Field. We got to take care of the high school, field. We want to take care of Passaic Street. There's things going on in our city that needs to be taken care of. And this infighting, we just got to move forward. It's a shame that, we have to go through this. But we do, and we deal with it. We handle it the best we can, and we try to move forward. And I hope after this meeting, we put some of this little stuff aside and we move forward for the bigger things, the bigger pictures. We got $1 million budgets. We're trying to take care of things, lower the taxes. The school budget's coming out soon. We're going to get hit with that. And, we're complaining about nickel and dimes. I'll give you $300 for your transcripts if you want it. My God, let's move on. With that being said, I hope everybody has a good weekend. Meeting adjourned.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.